All right. Hello and welcome, fellow those on fellow twin flame journeys. I wanted to do this is kind of a first attempt at a tarot astrology video, more in the predictive sense. Um, I was doing a little more reading into the upcoming full moon in Pisces and noticing that it's going to be a lot more powerful than I originally thought. I mean, it was already pretty powerful, but I'm still I'm not going day by day with astrology so much. I do check in with the moon and where the closer planets are moving, but I'm starting to learn to branch out and see ahead a little bit more. And it surprises me sometimes when I'm surprised by something, even though astrology is, I mean, you'll never learn all of it and you'll never know all of it, but we have some things coming up that I mean I'm calling it the portal of revelations because Pisces is ruler of the 12th house, and the 12th house is secrets and deceptions, and it's also kind of the access to magic, the to telepathy and psychic energy and twin flame journeys and soulmates and mm, I don't know how to put it. It's like Pisces is often associated with like fairy tale endings sort of thing. And so it's both sides, but it's definitely because we are it's already in opposition to Virgo in the Virgo sun, it's polar opposite. We're already seeing like what do you call it? It's power struggle and power exchange. And from what I'm seeing, first thing off the bat is like for those of us that have been really working on being just on healing in general, especially since the full moon was in Virgo and the sun was in Pisces, like the intentions that you set back then and the things that were at the forefront of your mind are what are being focused on right now. And a lot of that, especially with the Mercury and retrograde in Pisces that happened then, a lot of us were dealing with challenges with exes and with current relationships. A fair amount of people that had been in fairly secure relationships started to see them go rocky even months before then when we had the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. And as twin flames, a lot of separations happened. Um, and no contact situation came that no contact situations came out, which is not surprising with Mercury retrograde. But we just had Uranus go retrograde in Taurus too, so that's like shaking up relationship stuff. And I keep kind of getting the sense that when this started back in January and February, it was kind of like return of the X's, like return of the Sith, but the return of the X's. If for those of you that didn't really have a lot of exes still left in your life, you probably only ran into a couple of them. But for those individuals that were still holding on or still in player energy or still immature in love, they got hit hard with, returning of exes or having challenges between babies, mamas, and daddies, and just the whole shebang on it. And it's kind of, I'm just getting the sense of the same thing. For those of you that have been working on you and being in your divine femme or divine masculine energy and working on glowing up and leveling up, you'll probably actually see an expansion of that for yourself. And especially because this full moon is going to affect us until at least January. So most of the rest of the year. The other full moons will have an effect, but this is going to carry, it's going to be a big one. And part of that is because I made some notes in here. We have, where is it? We have a Cardinal Grand Cross that is coming out, and that's it's going to put us at odds. It's also kind of a combination of like for some of you it will be X marks the spot, and for others it'll be more like the medicine wheel or a cross, and it's um, learning to manifest, learning to heal, learning, embracing a spiritual journey that maybe has been avoided. Some of you will be seeing your your twin that's been in like karmic third party situations, those will start to end. And even the irony is too, like if you watch any relationship coaches or anything on YouTube, like they were already predicting without knowing any astrology that the C19 was going to start to cause a lot of breakups about this time, both in relationships that have been going for a while and in rebounds, and just there's a lot of things going on. But this Grand Cross is going to this Cardinal Grand Cross, which means that we have very well, the best way I can put it being that it's a lot of cardinal energy, it's very, very strong. Um, and it's stubborn too. It's about personal power in a lot of ways. Now, part of this though is so we're gonna okay. For those of you that have been working, especially on emotional security and healing your mother father wounds, childhood wounds, you're going to feel a little tug in a few different directions. If you've been, for some of you that have been waiting for your twin flame to speak up to you, approach you, give you some sign that their 3D self is waking up and making divine choices and stuff, you might be feeling like going and exploring your singlehood for a while. Or you might be questioning, you know, I mean, I'm feeling a lot better. Do I want to wait for somebody who's being immature and like not completing their lessons and letting it go? Or you may just simply be torn about, like, if you're a writer, you might be torn about what to write. Or you might be torn between, do I go play with the kids or do I keep working? Or do I clean my bedroom or do I clean the garage? Like it's probably not going to be like a really gigantic tug on you. Or if it is, it's like divine inspiration. Like you're like, oh yeah, I know. I have these two great ideas, and I know like maybe there are two videos that you want to do, and you can really only put your energy into one, but you might be a little torn, a little two of wands about it. They're both good ideas, they're both good directions. There's no right or wrong answer. What do you do? And for those of you that are still like maybe you're new in the journey, or if you're connected to a twin who is not quite learned their lessons, you might at least observe them. Well, they're going to feel pulled in all sorts of directions. They're going to feel pulled towards you, pulled towards the karmic, pulled towards running away, pulled towards being single, pulled between families and children. Like those people that have been in people have been deceiving themselves are about to really get shaken up. And that's a lot of divine masculines too. And they're going to be sent on spiritual kind of spirit quests sort of, or they have been on them, but now it's really beginning. Um, we have and Mars will be in Aries, but it won't be retrograde yet, so we're being driven a lot by that. We have Venus and Saturn in an opposition, so it's kind of the like think about, I guess the easiest way to put it is it's like the Empress and the Emperor in opposition to each other, which it doesn't have to be a negative it doesn't have to be like a fight, like I'm in opposition to you. It could be that like if you're divine femme and you're just sitting and doing your thing, being receptive and loving and taking care of the kids, that you have the emperor who is also trying to do his thing, the divine masculine, and just like maybe they're looking at work and you're looking at the children. Or it could be that they're in kind of reverse energy, emperor reverse, and they're upset because you're sitting in your empress energy and you're not bothered by what's going on. They're going to feel really torn by that, but also in kind of an admiration of it. Or it could be in reverse. It could be divine masculines with somebody who is either karmic or they are also a wow. Actually, I just that image came through to where a lot of our twins have been in karmic relationships with other twins, but they're not their twins. It's kind of a false flame, but they're not. those people are meant to then go on to their next relationships and learn to embrace the twin flame journey and become like divine femmes and divine masculines in upright instead of reverse, like emperor and empress in upright instead of reverse. And that's going to, like, this grand cross is going to do that for a fair amount of both divine femmes and divine masculines. And there's going to be a lot of, it's kind of, we saw some of this to a degree with Lionsgate, but it's actually, I think it's being amplified here, to where it's the individual versus the group, but it's also like the smaller family versus the bigger family. I think we'll probably, in a wider sense, see a lot more of this play out, as school starts to begin again for a lot of people, especially with the changes. But we're definitely going to be feeling all these changes too, both in our twin flame journeys and any relationships and families, and globally. And it's out with the old, in with the new. And people who have not worked on their ability to not fear change are really going to feel overloaded in some way or another. Each journey will look different. I'm going to pull some cards for collective divine femmes and divine masculines that I'm on the channel of. I always recommend you check in with multiple readers because sometimes we get on different channels. Sometimes we all get on similar channels. It's good. Don't like obsessively watch and get into it, but it's good to kind of have an idea of like, okay, and when you'll start to see patterns of when readers on YouTube will actually start being in sync with each other, and then like that's really collectively rather than like this would be macro, no, micro collection, whereas that would be macro, like everybody all over the place is feeling it. And I want to say divine feminines are definitely going to have an extra boost on this because of Pisces being such a feminine and sensitive sign, and Venus is in Cancer. So, mm, yeah. And full moons in general, it's about a building of energy, but it's also about closing off. So we're going to be seeing a little bit of like moon card energy and a little bit of the death card energy. There's definitely going to be some secrets outed. They don't necessarily have to be bad secrets, but this is one of those times like if you've been, I want to say, sitting in Seven of Swords energy, being deceptive or manipulative, even just to yourself, this is going to really be highlighted and blown up and looked at. And if you've been really good about releasing fantasy bonds and working on that stuff, then you probably won't be very affected by it. But you might notice your twin coming in and or having a hard time dealing with some of it. Yeah, this fits in too with a fair amount of my tarot readings that I've been doing, um, collectively, to where a lot of people right now, especially twins, are learning about unconditional love. Kind of that, the difference between the big, passionate, karmic relationships versus healthy relationships and then even divine relationships. Because, for one, like a regular relationship doesn't necessarily, like, you could have a relationship with a soulmate and it could be healthy and it could be okay. You could be satisfied, but it's not quite the same as a divine relationship, as a twin flame relationship. There's something different in it. There's something more synchronistic, and there's purpose to it. Each each couple's purpose is different, each set of flames, but there's a purpose. There's some sort of way you're supposed to affect the collective consciousness. All right. So I'm a little nervous rambling on about this stuff, but I don't know. Let's see what the cards have to say on this. I'm gonna pull for Divine Femmes first, and I'm just gonna use my regular Rider Waite deck, and then I'm gonna use my Alice in Wonderland deck for looking a little bit at what was gonna go on for masculines, or likely to, because they're usually the ones being a bit foolish, and they're more likely to be the ones being hit by this energy, which I think is gonna wrap up a lot of karmic situations, or at least bring them out into the light where they're not hidden anymore. A fair amount of you that have been waiting on a twin who has not been very communicative or has not been in contact at all, you're likely to hear from them or hear more from them, and it's likely to be very emotional communication. All right. Whoa. Goodness sakes. That's funny. So, what popped out here? Knight of Cups in reverse. This could be, this is for Divine Femmes. It could be that the messages that, how do I put it? It could be that you won't necessarily hear from them on the full moon, but shortly after, you will be hearing from them about what happened during the full moon. And some of you are going to be hearing from somebody who is manipulative in love. It could be your twin, or it could be their karmic, or you could be running, maybe you're in the dating scene or something and you run across someone like this. But this is, be cautious. Sit in your Empress energy, Divine Femmes. You don't have to react to anything right now. You can just sit and take it in, and your intuition will likely be very, very heightened. You'll likely get a lot more telepathic communication. So remember that the 3D is not always an accurate representation, but there might be a greater lack of communication as we get closer to the full moon and during the full moon, or it might be like it's a bit of silence. Either there's silence for some of you, and for others, it may be your twin or their karmic trying to manipulate a situation, maybe even manipulate you romantically, or somebody's just being really childish, and they're caught in illusions. There might be they're drinking or drugs involved, um, gaslighting, things like that. So go with your intuition, and don't try not to take things too personally. Even if your twin reaches out, even if you're supposed to have a conversation with them that normally they could have, or whatnot, they're caught in their illusions, and or you're caught in your illusions, where it depends on how much work you've been doing. So recognize also that if you're feeling triggered, it's not a good time to face it. Well, what I'm going to say, it's a good time to face those issues, but it's not a good time to go gung ho on your twin and try to kick up a conversation about it, and make sure that you're looking at your own healing. Is this something that really needs to happen right now? Some of you may be feeling like you're all alone in this, in whatever you're doing, whether maybe you have kids together, maybe you're just feeling especially lonely and it's upsetting, but that's a good time to work on becoming really, really grateful and comfortable with your own energy. And yeah, look at what we got on the bottom: justice, karma. I mean, we're always working on it too. It we're never going to be perfect. We're never going to not have our own stuff to work on. And a lot of this might even be um, continuing to learn to release our twins, to learn their journey and not feel like we need to rescue them, and just to have faith that they're going to do this. They're going to wake up and learn to manifest as we do, and that we're their example. So don't worry so much about what's going on in their journey, which I know is easier said than done. Trust me, I know on that. Yeah, a lot of your twins will not just reach out to you, they will come see you. And for some others, you're going to be getting a fair amount of communication, like as in text or even voice messages. I'm not sure why, but there'll be a lot of communication coming in. It should mostly be positive, but remember, you don't need to rush it. And you might be feeling like rushing communication. You don't need to. Just sit in your Divine Femme Empress energy. I just saw 1919 on the clock there. Here comes the sun, right? In enlightenment, illumination, the truth, a little bit of vulnerability. Yeah, many of you might become aware of a breakup, or you might just have a period of little to no communication with your twin, but it's likely because of a breakup. And this is that full moon energy. Actually, it's funny. How ironic is that? Um, these are in fact, I want to say these are revelations. That's part of that's part of what I meant to say earlier, is that these, yeah, this Pisces woman, I think even for us, it's revelations of different, of the balance, of the recognition of where we've been unstable and allowed our boundaries to be broken, where we've been in victim mindsets, or that's, people that have been stuck in victim mindset, who've been not going on their healing journey, and being a brat about it too. Pisces is going to reveal that this woman with this grand cross is, it's like the wheel of fortune, and it's going to turn, and for some it's going to feel like a nightmare situation, especially those that have been deceptive. Those have been, liar, liar, pants on fire. Pisces full moon is going to light you up like like a giant Christmas tree. And there's going to be a lot of new beginnings. A lot. And this is that Mars and Aries energy too, which is a part of that. So I think Divine Femmes, keep working on how you may be deceiving yourself about some things. And it don't necessarily go with what someone else says is deceiving you. It actually might be deceptive to think, like a lot of people go, oh, there's no use in hoping in somebody who hurt them before. That's not necessarily true. You want to have healthy boundaries. You don't want to wait for somebody, but that doesn't mean that not having faith is the right thing to do. A lot of times the illusion is the 3D, not the 5D. So, really work on it. Work on your connection with spirit too. Pisces is all about spirituality. So listen to spirit. That's all I can say on that. Let's look for divine masculines. Piscean energy always has me a little more. Ugh. In Vedic, I have a Pisces moon, so maybe that's part of why I'm really feeling spacey. Communication troubles. We might have some of that too. I feel it even more now that I'm shuffling for divine masculine stuff too. They might be unsure how to say what they know they need to say or want to say. Of course, it had to be a wand that came out too. So yeah, it's about communication. So a lot of divine masculines. This is actually really good because this is what comes after the 10 of wands. And that's a lot of communication set down and burdens set down and a new beginning. This is a new beginning in communication even. And there could be some flirtation energy. There could be a little bit of mild tantric telepathic thoughts going on. Let's say that. And some of you, your masculines may be Aries or have Aries placements. Well, what was I was just talking about the Grand Cross being like the Wheel of Fortune. Look at that. That's masculines have that. I think because Virgo's such a well, I mean, is it a masculine energy? I think it's technically a masculine energy. What I'm sensing is like that emperor energy of what time to work, 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 work versus the full moon in Pisces, which is the feminine of like you need love too. You also need to eat better and you need to have better self-care. And Virgo energy just be like, well, it's not in order. I don't have all my ducks in a row. I don't have all this. But the Pisces full moon with that great cross is like, doesn't matter. It's time to start new. Time to start new. Masculines. All right, I'm gonna see what else is coming up for divine masculines collectively. Just like one or two more cards. I might do a couple more readings for this too coming up. We'll see. No, we got 3. Okay. Yep. Knight of Cups. Somebody, well, divine masculines are bringing a romantic message to someone, I would assume, to their divine feminine. It's interesting too because you got the Knight of Cups in reverse, and well, divine femmes got that. and divine masculine's got that. Now, I think what I think with it sitting that way, what it is that divine masculines want to come with this energy. They want to feel mature in it. They want to feel like the knight in shining armor. They want to bring you beautiful romantic messages. But it might be that first they have to tell you, first they have to talk to you about this, about leaving in the first place. And some of them have been really, really, you know, degraded and abused. They've been in really, really toxic relationships. And so the message may come out to divine feminines as more almost like a lost puppy licking their wounds sort of thing, but don't don't get into condescending energy with them. Don't be the I told you so person if they come to you. You know, that for them it's this. Like, you know, for you it may seem like player energy, or it's really immature, or it's just not what you wanted to hear at the moment. It may, you may even be confused. Like this, in fact, this could be the message that you've been waiting for from your divine masculine. But because of the Pisces full moon, if you get in a tiff yourself, you may not be as receptive to that energy, to that new start energy, and you may turn away what was for them a Knight of Cups offer. Hmm. We got Two of Swords in there too. It could be the end to a no communication situation, or it could be that one starts up. It could, you know what? It could be that they're, because this can often be a third party situation. It could be that they're communicating that some big chaos happened. It could be they're communicating this to you on the full moon or after the full moon. Um, I think what it is they're, many of them are getting single, and whether they like it or not, which is the spirit energy, this is divine timing, and they're communicating that they've cut off a situation where they were deceived, and they're probably, I think some of them are admitting that they were being deceptive, and some of them are not because they reflect that other person. Yeah, and on the bottom, many of them are probably feeling bad because they don't have money to bring to you. They don't feel like they have anything to bring you. Some of them, I think this is the energy of a living situation, and maybe even a legal one of some kind that is ending. And keep in mind, you know, many of these masculines probably thought that they were going to a situation that was worthy of their best attention, or they had high hopes for it, or even if they got into it for um, nefarious reasons, they didn't want to feel like a bad person, so they tried to make it work, and they really genuinely put their hearts into it. And you know, so if they're coming to you saying that they feel heartbroken, that they manifested, that they got scammed and they didn't want to believe it, and you know, if they're coming to you with this divine femmes, be in your feminine energy, be the empress, and be soft. Be a place for them to come and communicate this to you and be able to be vulnerable and recognize, you know, you got a lifetime to talk about things. When somebody is feeling heartbroken, just give them that. You don't have to be right. You don't have to push them away. And if you are feeling like this yourself, then it's a good time to just pull back and work with yourself. You don't, you know, you can just let them know gently, like, I am in a really emotional place myself right now, and I really can't hold space for you with this. And and do that even if you feel triggered or angry about something that comes up. I think a fair amount of us, because of all the push pull energy, there's a, and even with the Piscean energy with like hidden enemies and stuff, it could be that some feminines are seeing their masculines as the enemy, and some masculines are seeing their feminines as the enemy, and likely because of whatever karmic third party situations they've been in. There could likely been a lot of gaslighting, a lot of fighting, a lot of exhaustion. They've been worked to the bone and they're not sure who is their friend or not, or you're not sure about it. And this Pisces full moon with all this energy in there is going to reveal it. And just you know, let divine timing play out. Let it reveal who's who. You don't need to be in control. A lot of this is about power exchange, and that's power control, power play, power exchange. All of it starts with owning your own authenticity, which means that you cannot, once you do that, you can't be controlled by somebody else. If you're not afraid of your own shadows, but you're also not prideful about it and earning bad karma, you can't be controlled and you don't need to be. You can sit in that Empress energy or that Emperor energy. And so a lot of this will be either be the start of people learning that, some twins learning that, and for others it will be just kind of an affirmation of it, but you get a level up in some way. Could be that it comes through career wise, or maybe you have more fun social interactions while you're waiting for your twin. But I do get the sense though that a fair amount of people are going to be getting a lot of people are going to be outed. There's going to be a lot of outings. I have no doubt about that. The question is, will we hear about it on the full moon, or will we be hearing about it over the next 6 months or so? Either way, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Please let me know if you enjoyed this, especially as a live feed. And thank you for your likes, shares, and subscribes. I'll catch you in the next video.